Hi, welcome back to Education Unpacked. Today I'm going to give you an update on the FAFSA Beta processing. But before I get to that, there's a couple of other things that we need to talk about. We know that last year's FAFSA cycle, the 2024-2025, was, and to a small extent still is, a complete disaster. But the front end and the back end of that application and its process were not the only issues. There was the issue of the 70,000 unanswered emails that went unanswered for almost a month that were just sitting in the standard email inbox, and no one addressed those. Earlier this summer, we found out about the 4 million phone calls that went unanswered. While I appreciate the Department of Education being proactive and doing the beta testing, albeit way late in the process, that is certainly a step in the right direction. They need to address these other issues, and they need to assure the public that these things are not going to happen again. Because when you're trying to do the application and you run into issues, you need to be able to reach someone that can help you, either by telephone or by email, preferably both. The GAO report that came out this summer that identified the 4 million unanswered phone calls gave several recommendations on what the department should do to fix a lot of the issues. So keep this in mind. Don't be distracted simply by the application and the ability to enter information and have it complete and sent to the appropriate institution or agency. Focus on the other aspects that are part of the application process. Okay, so now having said that, let's get to the beta testing portion. We are on 10/16, October 16, and phase 2 of testing started this week. The reports from the first phase of testing have been mostly positive, which is a good sign. We were hoping for that. I don't think anyone anticipated having as many issues as there were last year. So with the relatively small sample size that they used for the first phase, which was under 700 students, everything went pretty well. Now, this next phase of testing, phase 2, is supposed to have significantly more testers. There were only 6 community-based organizations that were a part of the initial process, and now there are universities, community-based organizations, and so forth. There will be links in the description that you can read the full list of participants for the second round, one of which is actually the University of Sydney in Australia. So I'm guessing that they're testing how the process has been fixed to work with international systems, but that's just a guess on my part. So far, so good. It appears that they may be able to meet their deadline for releasing the application to all students on or before December 1st. But that is a big if, because let's face it, as it's laid out, there are only 2 weeks in between each testing phase. Now, there are still issues with last year's application. Most have been cleared up, but they have identified some new issues, and there's some lingering old issues. So they've had 10 months, 11 months really, to take care of those issues, and they haven't all been cleaned up. So how they can identify and correct issues with the new phase of the application in less than 2 months, yeah, it's questionable. Knowing their recent track record, I don't think they allowed enough time, but it's the time they have. Let's hope that everything continues to go smoothly and they actually get this up and running on or before December 1st. Now, I'm hoping to hear from some participants in this second phase of testing. You will read in one of the articles that I linked to that phase 1 was closed to the media. And there wasn't really a published report on how that phase went until right before phase 2 was supposed to begin. So I'm really not expecting any concrete information on phase 2 until shortly before phase 3 is going to begin. And that's one of the 2 phases that is slated to have up to 10,000, possibly more participants, which is which will be a far better indicator of how things are going to go. It's perfectly reasonable to start with small cohorts and work your way up. So phase 1 and phase 2 will be the foundation, the initial testing phase, and then phases 3 and 4 should give a pretty clear indication if this FAFSA cycle for 25-26 is going to go well. I won't say perfectly because it has never gone perfectly, even before the whole application process and systems had to be upgraded and everything. There were always glitches. So I will keep you posted. Remember to subscribe to the channel so you'll know when new information is coming out. We are going to, it's always me, are going to have a video about, despite the horror stories from last year and some trepidation about this year, why you should still apply for the FAFSA, even if you think you won't qualify for it or don't need it. There are some very good legitimate reasons besides Pell Grants that you should fill out the FAFSA application. It is definitely shorter than it was a couple of years ago. There are far less questions, so it will not take as much time. As a matter of fact, one of the reports about phase 1 testing said that several students were able to do it in 20 minutes or less. So it's not as though you're going to be giving up a weekend for it. So again, remember to subscribe to the channel. Please like this video, and I will see you sometime in the not too distant future. Take care. Bye.